Welcome. If this is your first time joining, this video is part of a 12-month healing series. Each month focuses on a different layer of mind, body, spirit alignment. You're welcome to walk the whole year with us or simply take what you need today. The fact that you're here right now tells me that you are ready to make an important shift in your life. Today we're going to be talking about guilt, goodness, and the cost of being a good person. And we're going to be doing some journaling, so make sure that you've got a pen and paper handy. In the first video of this week, we talked about where agency was quietly surrendered, how choice was often given up not because you were weak, but because you were adapting to environments where belonging mattered. In this video, we're going to look at one of the most powerful mechanisms that keeps agency offline long after those environments have changed, and that is guilt. Not the dramatic kind, but the quiet kind. The kind that shows up when you even consider choosing yourself. This video is about how guilt became a regulating force in your life and how being a good person can quietly become a form of self-confinement. Now let's slow this down. Guilt is not inherently bad. Guilt is a social emotion. It helps human beings stay connected, repair ruptures, and consider impact. But when guilt becomes the primary mechanism that governs your choices, agency erodes. Because guilt doesn't ask what is true, it asks who might be disappointed. And for many people, that question has guided their lives far more than they realize. Let's pause here. As you hear the word guilt, notice your body. Do you feel tightening, a sinking feeling, a sense of heaviness? That response tells you how central guilt has been in regulating your system. Many people learned early that being good was safer than being honest. Good meant agreeable, helpful, low maintenance, responsible, emotionally attuned to others. Goodness became protection. And because it worked, it stuck. Over time, being good stopped being a value and became an identity. An identity is powerful. Because once goodness becomes who you are, choice starts to feel like betrayal. Let's name this clearly. Many people do not feel free to choose because they are protecting an identity they don't know how to survive without. That may be an identity of the good one, the reliable one, the strong one, the one who doesn't cause trouble. So when agency begins to return, guilt often shows up immediately, not because you're doing something wrong, but because an old identity feels threatened. This is why guilt often appears before action. You haven't even said no yet, and your body is already bracing. That's conditioning, not conscience. Now, let's reflect on this more deliberately. I'd like you to get your journal and reflect on the question, what did being good mean in my early environment? Write concretely. If you need to pause the video, now would be a good time. Did it mean not needing much, keeping the peace, performing well? Maybe it was managing others' emotions. Be as specific as you can, because goodness is rarely abstract. It's behavioral. So now let's take this one layer deeper. For many people, guilt is not about morality, it's about belonging. If I choose myself, will I still be included? Will I still be valued? Will I still be loved? These are not childish fears, they are attachment questions. And attachment questions live in the body, not the intellect. Now let's pause. I'd like you to think of a recent moment when you felt guilty for wanting something different. Notice where you feel that guilt physically. Is it in your chest, your stomach, maybe your throat? The body often carries guilt as contraction. Now let's reflect. For our next journaling exercise, I'd like you to reflect on the question, what do I fear would happen if I disappointed someone? Go ahead and pause the video if you'd like to do this now. When you reflect on this question, don't soften the answer. Many people discover fears like, I would be rejected, I would be seen as selfish, I would lose my role, or maybe I would no longer be needed. Those fears once made sense, but they may no longer be accurate. And agency begins when you question whether guilt is responding to your present reality or to past learning. Now let's talk about another subtle trap. Many people confuse impact with responsibility. They believe that if their choice affects someone else emotionally, they are responsible for that emotion. But impact is not the same as responsibility. You can impact someone without being responsible for managing their response. This distinction is essential for agency. Now let's reflect on it. I'd like you to write about where in your life you take responsibility for other people's emotional reactions. Pause the video now if you need to. This might include softening truth to avoid discomfort, saying yes to prevent disappointment, staying quiet to keep harmony. These patterns are often praised, but they come at a cost. They teach the nervous system that honesty is unsafe. And when honesty feels unsafe, choice disappears. Now, I want to say something gently but clearly. Being kind does not require self-abandonment. Being ethical does not require self-erasure. Being loving does not require constant self-override. Those equations were learned, not inherent. Now let's pause. I'd like you to reflect on the question, what would change if I allowed myself to be good and honest? Many people have never been given permission to hold both goodness and honesty. So agency feels like moral failure, but it's not. It's maturation. Now let's bring this into practice. For our next journaling prompt, I would like you to reflect on the question, where am I confusing guilt with guidance? Feel free to pause the video. Guilt is loud, guidance is quiet. Guilt pressures where guidance steadies. But learning the difference takes time. Reflection sharpens that distinction and helps that learning. Now, as we approach the end of this video, I want to normalize something important. As agency returns, guilt often spikes, not because you're regressing, but because an old regulatory system is losing its job. Guilt has been managing your behavior for a long time, so of course it resists being replaced by choice. You don't need to fight it. You just need to understand it. Understanding dissolves guilt far more effectively than rebellion ever could. Now let's close with a daily reflection practice for this week. Throughout the week, at the end of each day, I'd like you to ask yourself, where did guilt influence my choices today? Then ask, was that guilt responding to present reality or to past conditioning? You don't need to act differently yet, just notice. Because guilt loses its grip when it is seen clearly. And when guilt loosens, agency has room to breathe. Next week, we'll move into realignment and practice, how to choose gently, sustainability, and without burning your life down. But for now, let reflection continue its work. Seeing the contract is the first step to renegotiating it. And renegotiation is how agency returns.